This is a great day for working people in Virginia. For the very first time in over 11 years, we are poised to give Virginia's workers, minimum wage workers, a raise, and they have earned it. As we vote on this legislation today, it's worth reflecting on some recent history. In 2009, when the federal minimum wage increased to $7.25, Virginia, the rest of the country, was navigating the turmoil of the Great Recession. At that time, that increase helped to stabilize Virginia's families and small businesses who depended on their local communities. In the years that followed, Virginia's workers helped to heal and rebuild our economy, but the minimum wage did not budge, and too many workers did not benefit from the recovery that made it all possible. They were left behind. This is a story of how Virginia became the best state for business and the worst place for workers. In these last 11 years, as health care became more expensive and housing became more expensive and college became more expensive, the minimum wage did not go up, not one penny. All things considered, Virginia now has the lowest minimum wage in the nation. That's why we have worked so hard to get this legislation right. Even as we have confronted myths and misinformation about the minimum wage, despite some claims to the contrary, increases in the minimum wage have not led to job losses. And by raising our minimum wage, Virginia would hardly be an outlier. In 2020 alone, 25 states across the country will increase wages for their minimum wage workers. In reality, this bill will benefit nearly 800,000 people in Virginia, both in urban areas and rural areas. It will help to close the gender pay gap. It will help to close the racial pay gap. It will make entire families and communities stronger in every corner of this Commonwealth. And here's how we're going to accomplish it. In January 2021 through January 2022, the minimum wage in Virginia will increase to $9.50. And the next year, from 2022 to 2023, it will be $11 an hour. And then January 2023 through 2025, it will be $12 an hour. And that's when the General Assembly will do what you have asked it to do, is to study. And we're going to have a commission to study minimum wage to see, and it will be comprehensive, and it's going to examine the impact on employers and workers. And the General Assembly will then have the opportunity to come back and vote on legislation that completes the path to $15 an hour by January 2026. That's only 1 year later than we had anticipated in the first legislation that was filed. This bill also removes certain exclusions in our law, which means that some workers, like domestic service workers, will finally be guaranteed a minimum wage for the very first time. It's going to be also important that we close exclusions because many of them were just rooted in Jim Crow. I know the debate over minimum wage can sometimes feel abstract and technical, but ultimately this is about people, hard-working people who are doing everything right, and they are still struggling to survive. This legislation is for those parents who can't be around to help their children with their homework because they're juggling 2 or 3 minimum wage jobs. This legislation It's not going to allow them to go off on a vacation or anything, but it might just allow them to get a Happy Meal for a child for once in their life. This legislation is for people who clean our hotel rooms, our offices, long after we have gone home to be with our families. And this legislation is for so many people who feel invisible in our economy, but who are essential to our success. This legislation says, at long last, we value you. And I ask that you pass this bill.